Many guitar players, when they first start to learn how to solo on the neck of the guitar, learn the pentatonic scale or the blues scale. People teach them this scale because it's an easy scale and it sounds good. This is a 5-note scale. What this means is that you're only going to have 5 shapes to learn on the neck of the guitar. If you know your major scale, and we've been using G major scale or E minor scale, or E natural minor scale. So the major scale has 7 different notes to it. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. If you take this major scale and get rid of the 4th pitch and the 7th pitch, you end up with a G major pentatonic scale or E natural minor pentatonic scale. The scale patterns that we've gone over already, like pattern 7 in the key of G major, all of these notes have a number assigned to them, a number from the major scale, like do, re, mi, fa, sol, la, ti, do is now 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So if this is pattern 7, you're starting with a 7. The numbers would be 7, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1. So there are only 7 numbers, and once you get to 7, you start all over again with 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 1, 2, and so on. So we're going to get rid of the 7s and the 4s. Most of you may already know some of these patterns in the pentatonic scale, but this is where they're coming from, or this is their parent scale. So we're going to drop the 7 and we're going to drop the 4, and you end up with these patterns. This pattern 7, now again, it's called pattern 7 because your first finger would be on a 7 if it were played. Remember, we're getting rid of the 4s and 7s. So in this pentatonic scale, you're going to start with your 2nd finger on the 3rd fret of the low E string, and you're going to play 2, 4. The numbers I'm using now are your finger numbers. The next string is 1, 4. The next string is 1, 4. The next string is 1, 3. The next string is 2, 4, and 2, 4 again. And of course you want to come back. So that's 4, 2, 4, 2, 3, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 2. Again, this is pattern 7, or what the major method calls pattern 7, because your first finger starts on what would be the 7th pitch of the scale if you played your first finger. So this is 2, 4, 1, 4, 1, 4, 1, 3, 2, 4, 2, 4, and back. The next pattern starts with where your last finger left off. So this last note that you played here with your little finger on the 5th fret becomes the first note of the next pattern. This pattern, as far as how it relates to the major scale, is kind of like patterns 1 and patterns 2 of the major scale combined, kind of compressed into one pattern. There are a lot of different ways of fingering this pattern. I'm going to give you a way of doing it, but you can come up with whatever fingering you want, as long as you don't just take your first finger and slide it back and forth, which is pretty impractical. So if you started with your first finger and your 3rd finger on the low E string, this is on the 5th fret and the 7th fret of the low E string, you can come almost straight across. All of the notes that you play are straight down the 5th fret and straight down the 7th fret, but there's one note that's out on the left and one note that's out on the right. So you're going to play 1, 3, same thing on the next string, same thing on the next string. Now the next string, your first finger has to come back to the 4th fret, but you also then have to come back to the 7th fret for the next note. So it's 5th fret, 7th, 5th, 7th, 5th, 7th, 4th, 7th. These are fret numbers. Then you come back up to the 5th fret, and then out to the 8th fret. Then back to the 5th and 7th fret for the last 2. So it's straight down the 5th and 7th fret, coming back to the 4th fret on the G string, and up to the 8th fret on the B string. So again, it sounds like this. The fingering that I used is 1, 3, 1, 3, 1, 3, then shift back 1, 4, shift up 1, 4, then 1, 3 on the top. Coming back, it would be 3, 1, 4, 1, shift, 4, 1, then 4, 2, the rest of the way back down. Again, don't get too hung up on the fingerings, but this is learn the pattern. So this is kind of like patterns 1 and 2 of the major scale combined. The next pattern, your first finger is on the 7th fret. This is pattern 3, or where pattern 3 of the major scale lives. Here you're going to come straight down, straight across the neck with one finger per one fret. And your fingerings are 1 4, 1 4, 1 3, 1 3, then 2 4, 1 4. And then of course come back 4 1, 4 2, 3 1, 3 1, 4 1, 4 1. And this is pattern 3. Remember that each one of these patterns that comes across the neck, you're going to need to learn by itself and then tie it together so it becomes one gigantic pattern on the neck of the guitar. The next pattern has your second finger being up on the 10th fret of the neck of the guitar. Again, if you have an acoustic guitar that doesn't have a cutaway, this might be getting up pretty high on the guitar. You may have to hike your guitar up like this in order to play these notes. Or if you have an electric guitar, try it on an electric guitar. If you don't have an electric guitar and these notes are just way too high up on your guitar, you can slide down and play this pattern on a different place on the neck of the guitar just to get your fingers used to it. Otherwise, your second finger's on the 10th fret. You're going to come across the neck one finger per fret, and you're going to be playing 2 4. So your second finger's on the 10th fret, your little finger's on the 12th. I know it's going to be tempting to use your first and third fingers, but it's going to get you into trouble in a little bit here. So you're going to go 2 4, 2 4. The next string is 1 4, then 1 4. The next string is 2 4, and the last one's 2 4 as well. Coming back, it's 4 2, 4 2, 4 1, 4 1, 4 2, 4 2. Yeah, this is a little bit of a pinky workout, but you want all of your fingers ideally to be equally strong and coordinated, and there's no time like the present to start working on it. So use that little finger up there. Make sure your hand is your muscles are getting stronger and more coordinated. Then you come up to the double dots. This is the 12th fret of the guitar. This is pattern 6 as it relates to the major scale. Pattern 6 is usually the pattern that people first learn when it comes to the pentatonic scale. It seems to be comfortable for your left hand, and it sounds good. Keep in mind that if you've learned this pattern and you're comfortable with it, there's certain physicalities that you know sound good and feel good. When you come to another pattern that might have a similar physical feeling, say if you come down to pattern 3, which is 1 4 1 4 1 3 1 3, right? The notes that you're playing are going to be different underneath your fingers. You're on a different place on the neck, so it's not going to sound the same as pattern 6. So what you need to do with all of these patterns is get to know them as well as you know pattern 6, and find out where the notes are that sound good to you in this new pattern. So pattern 6, this is up on the double dots on the neck. You're going to be, again, playing one finger per fret, and you're going to come across the neck doing 1 4, 1 3, 1 3, 1 3, 1 4, and 1 4. And then come on back. So your fourth finger now is on the 15th fret, and your first finger is on the 12th fret. Coming back, 4 1 4 1, 3 1 3 1, 3 1, 4 1. And this is pattern 6. Now, if you have enough frets on your guitar or enough of a cutaway, your little finger that was here when you played 1 4 on the low E string, that note, if you put your second finger on it, that starts the pattern that you learned down here all over again. And the neck is like one big loop. So you're going to want to be able to loop it together and continue on up the neck until you run out of frets on your guitar. After introducing all 5 of the G major pentatonic scale shapes, I also provide you a neck diagram which gives you all the different shapes combined. You can see that I've included some lines in between the different notes so you can actually see the shapes a little bit better and know the entire neck of the guitar.